Just 39 days now until the election, but with early voting in Iowa and Ohio, Election Day is coming a month early. Here's now to talk about what's being called Election Month. Kentucky Senator and Romney campaign surrogate Rand Paul. Senator Paul spent time with Governor Romney campaigning in Ohio this week. Senator, it's great to see you.
Good morning. Glad to be with you.
Kentucky is I think, safe. And I'm from Cincinnati, and I would imagine that Southern Ohio is safe, and that the work that Romney has to do is probably, as you go north, it gets harder and harder. Is that the case in Ohio?
Well, you know, I think in Kentucky we've got it pretty well sewn up. Ohio is more difficult. But, you know, in 2010, Rob Portman wins by 18 points. Kasich wins for governor. They win the state house, the state senate, and 10 out of 18 congressional seats. And I'm hard-pressed to know how it's different in 2012 than it was in 2010. I think most of the polling is modeling 2008, and I think it's going to be closer to 2010 than it's going to be to 2008.
Senator, do you think for the votes that Romney needs to get in Ohio, does it help him to seem more conservative and get your support? And it's like some of the conservatives say, wow, I like Romney more now because Rand Paul is now associating himself with him. Or does that hurt some of the people that might be in Cleveland or somewhere in the more, I don't know, urban centers of Ohio? I don't know what the difference. I grew up there, as I said, and there's major differences, we thought, between Cincinnati and in Cleveland, and just how we viewed a lot of things. I mean, does it help or hurt to have Tea Party support in Ohio?
Well, I personally think that sort of libertarian Republicans attract people from the left, the right, and the center. Those of us who are ready to come home from Afghanistan, for example, I think attract some Democrats and moderates. But as far as what Governor Romney needs to be, I think he needs to be who he is, not who I am. But I'm happy to campaign for him there, and hopefully that some people who do like a little less aggressive foreign policy, who are fiscally conservative but want the government to be limited and really think that the debt's a problem, those have been the things that I have talked about, and I think that will attract some moderates and independents also to the ticket.
And I see it where what you just said, people are Romney was interviewed by CNN, said about Ohio, polls go up and polls go down, but when November 6th comes, people are going to recognize we don't want a government that just keeps getting larger and larger, and we want more, we want business and the private sector to do better. And when he picked Ryan, I thought, all right, it's a clear choice now. The country has a clear choice which way they want to go, but something got lost in the last, you can just look at the polls, where that didn't. People are not looking at that at this point. They must be looking at something else, because we do see President Obama leading in most polls. What changed? What's different?
Well, it doesn't help when all the networks run a secret tape about 10,000 times in 1 week, and I think that really slanted and skewed the news some. But I also think that the polling onslaught that comes out that shows him behind, I don't think it's accurate, because I think the filters are closer to a 2008 model, and a 2010 model was dramatically different. The Tea Party energized in 2009 and came out in 2010. I still think they're energized, and I think the silver lining of the Supreme Court upholding Obamacare is that those of us in the Tea Party who think Obamacare is a disaster for the country, we're all going to turn out, because we know the only way we can stop it now is by electing Governor Romney.
That's still 53-43 or something. That's what I don't understand. There seems to be a disconnect. That's still 53-43 against. I don't know why the election doesn't. I mean, it's not a single issue vote, obviously.
I still think the election goes our way. I've been predicting all along that I think really the election's over and Romney's won, because the mood of the country still is very concerned about the debt, but also very concerned about not having jobs, having 20 million people out of work.
Senator,
and so I think all of that goes in our favor still.
Senator, very quickly, and Joe alluded to this earlier, this idea of the divide and what Paul Ryan in some respects was supposed to represent. Do you think that Romney has tacked too far to the middle? In the past week or two, he's talked about taxes and suggested that actually on upper and middle class earners, that their taxes aren't going to go down, for example.
Well, I think it needs to be even simpler than that as far as the message. And I don't know about tacking this way or that way. I think genuineness, it helps you in elections. But what I would say is the main difference between the candidates from my perspective is that President Obama thinks that you can hire more government workers and that will stimulate the economy. I see government workers not as bad people, but they're in the wagon. You got to have more people pulling the wagon. I think Governor Romney understands that. You got to grow the private sector.
Senator Paul, thank you for being on today. Appreciate it a lot.